but he is the third independent director. We also have directors with specific table tennis experience at the club, tournament, college, and international level. And we have elite athletes on our board. And so together we've been working as a team to focus on the long-term strategy, finding the resources, and establishing expectations for the future, and then holding our staff accountable to those expectations. That's the role of our board. Since July, we organized in July, we've had 3 board meetings plus several teleconference calls between, and the work of several task forces working on a variety of topics. Our first order of business, our first priority was to hire a CEO. I'll tell you a little bit about that process. The process had started some months ago. There were a number of applicants. As the new board came into place in July, we decided to extend the search process and make sure that we were up to speed with all of the candidates. We looked at a variety of candidates, had numerous interviews, and through that process, it was a national search. We settled on our own, Mike Cavanaugh to be our permanent CEO, and have extended that offer to Mike, and he's accepted it, and we're thrilled to announce it. We also set some priorities, and I'm going to highlight 3 of them for you. We're focused on a high-performance plan that Han has been leading with a lot of input from coaches. We're focused on a committee review that Christian will present to you this evening. A part of our bylaws requires that we take a look at all of the committees and make decisions about those committees by the end of this calendar year. And we're focused on a strategic plan, which we'll be getting into in more detail next year, but we've already committed to and have hired a consulting firm to help us with a business plan, which is the first step in that strategic plan. And that work is beginning this month. And in addition to those priorities, as a board, we're committed to open communication. So we're posting our bylaws, we're holding the assembly, we're looking for input, our meetings are open. We welcome your input and your comments, and hope to, in this evening's program, we'll have a Q&A session where we'll also be looking for feedback. So once again, welcome. Our focus is on the future, and our goals are to grow the sport and strengthen the sport of table tennis in the United States. With that, I'd like to turn the meeting back to Mike for some comments.
Thank you, Peter. Now we've got a little DVD projection here. And someone on the right, please.
Amazing awaits. Where we least expect it, or we're training for it all our lives. It awaits in 200 meters, in 100th of a second. In our courageous first steps, and with our every last breath. It awaits on the shoulders of our teammates, in the footsteps of our heroes, when we shout our records, and when our spirits prove unbreakable. Amazing awaits when a small town playground takes us to the world's stage. And when that distance is measured in effort, when our hope makes us hopefuls, and bravery carries us on her back. It awaits when we cross finish lines, and when the journey has just begun. When we come from nothing, from nowhere, over hurdles, over mountains. Amazing awaits in our Olympians, in all Americans, in the honor of victory, and the glory of pursuit. It awaits when we work hard enough, want badly enough, and refuse to say we've had enough. With a nation behind us, with a world before us, and within us all. Amazing awaits.
Okay, Vice please. Thank you, Joyce, for assuming that role. What this DVD reminded me of, we hear about sport, and that's what makes it so pure and special. 1 year ago, I first laid eyes on many of you, and it was a town hall meeting. And that followed the mandate of the USOC to have a town hall meeting because we were under governance reform. And I felt like I was representing a 300-pound gorilla then because I was from the USOC, and this organization was under a lot of stress. So we got the forced governance reform behind us, and the folks that you see up here are a result of that. This is an emerging process. This is our first annual assembly. And we want to make this such a great event that we want you to be here to be with us next year. We have ideas to make it better. And I'm pleased with the number of folks that we had here. By the way, at the town hall meeting last year, we had 36 people. We've got an account of 85 by one of our accountants up here. What's some good news that's a result of this governance reform process? You've got a talented group in front of you that trust me, they've hit the ground running, and they're intelligent, and they come from varied backgrounds that they want to bring to the sport. One positive thing that just happened this week is there are 45 NGBs, national governing bodies. The first report is that 26 of those NGBs had reduced funding from the USOC coming into 2009. There are 6 NGBs that had increased funding. I'm pleased to announce that we are one of the NGBs that had an increase in funding. So they're watching us closely, and they like what they see. My compliments go to some folks up here that have started the high performance plan and submitted that to the USOC, and they like what they see. 1 year ago, I listed 18 very positive things that table tennis has going for it that many, many other sports do not have. And because some of you were there last year, I won't say them again, but if you want to see me afterwards, my list is now up to 24 aspects of table tennis that other sports don't enjoy. So for me, the parts of the puzzle were there. And along the way, along the last 13 months, I've met some wonderful people, and that made me wanted to be among you. So again, I'm happy to be where I'm at. The board and I and the staff, which I'll introduce in just a minute, are committed to the change that we can see and that we envision, I think that many of you are hoping for. The task forces, I don't want to steal their thunder, but again, they're an example. Again, we have a high performance plan, we have a bylaw review, we have our very important committee review task force. All of those will be addressed here in just a minute. But those were examples of outreaches. We're not just sitting in a closed room making decisions. The high performance plan reached out to the coaches, all the coaches in the country. They got some significant input. Christian LaRousse and the committee task force, it's not just something that we're taking lightly. He's put considerable effort in his group to see what was going on with the committees, what would work better, how can we change, how can we adapt. The other thing that keeps coming up is that, it's an example of other sports too, is we want more television. We need the exposure. I'm pleased to tell you, and I've been saying this for 13 months, that the USOC is very, very close at this point. They have a last little hurdle to go over with NBC and with the World Championship Sports Network to create the Olympic channel. And we're all guaranteed to be on that, all of the sports. And at the Open, you will see a USOC camera crew that will be recording those actions because they want to capture our content, eventually put it on their media. Eventually you can grab it and archive this stuff, and we'll start to build a library. So that's on the forefront. Dora, could you put the staff slide up there, please? Thank you. And I can't read it from here, so I'm going to go from my notes. A gentleman that's very dear to my heart because he shouldered a lot for this organization. We have a mutual respect. We found a way to I think, become close and work together. He's our high performance director, our technical director, and coaching responsibility, Doru. You all know him as beloved Doru. We'll save the pause for the staff at the end, and I'll get everybody together. Deborah, if you stand up, please, who manages our accounting, our finance, our auditing, and insurance risk management. Joyce, who does our entire membership database, reach out to you, our office, and our events. And Lisa does rating, equipment, and sanctioning. Mostly what I do is answer the phone with all of you and take the letters and the ideas about how to improve our organization. I'm happy to do that. I said a year ago that no one in this organization is afraid to pick up the phone and give me a piece of their mind, which I'm happy to do. Our sponsors are a big part of our family, and the Lean In group is here. Would you please stand up? Any name? Butterfly, Martin Kilpatrick, are they here? They're setting up for tomorrow. And then Paddle Palace, Judy's on her way. Judy for Paddle Palace. Okay, those are our main sponsors. We're happy to list an entire family of coaches, club, tournament directors, operators, manufacturers, the board, the staff. My goal is to let you know periodically that I think we're on track. I want you to feel an ownership in the programs that we're running, and I want you to feel engaged so that we're all in a common direction. The only negative that I have to say that we're out to change the attitude of, maybe there's some folks that were cynical, maybe you were disenchanted, felt disenfranchised, and a little disappointed with the organization. We're going to change that around. We're going to change cynicism to optimism, and I say that personally, and I know that I speak for the board when I say that. Okay, what's next up on the agenda? Okay, my pleasure to introduce. Do you want to do introductions? Okay, we'll go right down to the report on the committee restructuring task force. Christine Lewis.
It was a little bit lighter with notes, but I live in an electronic world, so it's probably computers. The USATT Committee Review Task Force. I am in the chair, but I'm not the only one that's doing things. There is, we were 5 people in this task force, and the main thing that we were given the mission for was that we're going to evaluate the existing committee structure and proposing a new committee structure. We are here today with our 75th anniversary, and things are done in a specific way for 75 years. As you can see today, many things have changed. There's a different size of the board and different bylaws. And what we were set up to do was to, according to the bylaws, look into what can be done with this committee from a structure point of view. The process that we went through was that we decided that we want to interview every single person of the old committees. We started with the chairpersons. We did that by telephone and sent out a questionnaire. Then we sent out the same or similar questionnaire to all the 23 committee members, and we dealt with about 100 people. So we wanted to make a thorough research and interview every single one that have put their effort into table tennis in the United States in the past. They're the one who knows how things are done. The good, bad, the ugly, we want everything. And we got pretty much all that. Something good, something bad, something ugly. And according to the bylaw, up until 31st of December 2008, we're going with the old structure. And then by the 31st of December, we have to implement the new structure in accordance with the bylaws. The bylaws has a whole chapter of what a committee has to be. There are standing committees, a lot of things in the bylaws that we have to follow, like any other organization. But we have, according to the bylaw, 1 year to implement this. And this task force was given that task, that mandate, to do the investigation and make a proposal. And I also want to stress that it was not just me. We had 5 people. Andre Scott from me was our athlete representative. Wave your hands, Andre. And we had Mike Cavanaugh, you all know him. David DeVecchio, and Jim Kaler. So they were the members, and we all share the job to figure out all this information. Okay, next. Go one more. The old structure was 22 committees and 1 ad hoc committee. And what we want to start with, I'm dear at heart with this, We are a volunteer organization, and all of our work, pretty much from the few hard-working staff here that we just presented, 5 people cannot do the work for 8,000 people, or maybe there's 50,000 people who play table tennis on a high level in the United States. So we want to make sure that we show some respect and appreciation for our volunteers, and we want to present to the previous chairperson of each committee a commemorative certificate of appreciation. So we're going to have the certificate be given out by our Chief Executive Officer, Mike Cavanaugh. Next slide. And these are the following committees that was in existence in operation as of December 16, 2007. And you can do a fast applause for each one if you want to, but there's a lot of people. Do we have Dr. Jing Wong here, the committee chairman of clubs? Well, he was the chairman of the clubs. John Allen, coaching committee chair. Are you here, John Allen? Not here. Anybody else who close as John Allen? We can get a certificate. Dennis Davis, collegiate chair. Nobody's here. What's wrong with you guys? Spread the word. If you show up, you get a plaque. The Disabled Athletes Committee, Sharon Brooks, Jennifer Johnson. The Editorial Board, Tom Wintridge. Elite Athlete Committee, Bob Fox. I saw you earlier. Ross Brown, co-chair of the Elite Athlete Committee. Finance and Budget, Tom Lee. I feel like you're really feeling the appreciation here right now. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Can you feel the vibration here? Grassroots Juniors, we have a first. Attila Male. Yeah. Come on, a lot of applause. Now we're going to do it again. The Grassroots Committee for College, Willie Laparullo. Nobody here. Grassroots for Adults, Donna Chen. No. Grassroots for Senior, Olga Kahan and Stan Kahan. Well, the committees we're going to present in the future, they're the ones who are going to have to be here. So if you're interested in being a chair, make sure you show up here next year. Okay? It's very important. Number 1 requirement on the task force. Okay, next slide we have Grievance, Ethics, and Disciplinary Committee. We have a winner, Cindy Market. Hall of Fame Committee, Dick Evans. You should be here. Dick Evans is not hungry today. Hardback Committee, Dr. Mike Bavin. Oh, he's here. You have to stand up. It's a lot of work. Someone's going to do. Nomination and elections. Ed Mercier. No. Personnel. Dennis Davis, your second try. He's driving in. I hear the car. Ratings. Steve Gibson. Rules and officials. Wendell Dillon. Current observer. Tournaments. Alan Barth. I saw somebody move, but it was not him. Training Center, Masaki Tachima. No. Vision and Mission, Ed Hogshead. Women's Development, Emilia, last name is familiar, Georgia. Not even here? Also recovering from surgery? Okay. Ad Hoc Committee, Barney Reed. Okay, well, thank you everybody for applauding the few that were here. And your the staff's going to have to do a lot of mailing, apparently. Okay, according to the bylaws, we have the following possible new structures. It can be a standing committee, it can be an advisory committee, national organizational member, contributing organizational member, an advisory task force. Those are the 5 possible ways that the new bylaws allows for the structure. I want to point out very clearly today that what I'm about to present to you is not the final decision. As you heard earlier, the purpose of this National Assembly is to present to you proposals, and we want to have your input if you like it, if you don't like it. But I also want to tell you that the National Assembly does not have decision power. We don't have a vote here and make you to decide it. We want your opinion. You're an advisory body for the board of directors that will make the final decision. And we have not made the final decision. However, we're going to evaluate your input, and tomorrow we're making the final decisions. We have to make that before 31st of December. The first thing, the standing committee, the new bylaws are specifying very clearly the standing committees. And there are 4 new standing committees. And that's clear with the directives that the bylaws gives. The first one is the Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee will replace the old Grievance, Ethics, and Disciplinary Committee. The task force just thought that that name of that committee was just too long, so we made it shorter. But besides that, the Ethics Committee will do very similar things, if not the same. The second one is the Audit Committee. The Audit Committee will replace the Finance and Budget Committee, and the budget will be added as a staff responsibility. The third standing committee is called the Compensation Committee, and that will replace the Personnel Committee. The fourth standing committee is Nominating and Governance Committee. That replaces Nomination and Elections Committee. So these 4 standing committees has very clear directions in the bylaws that tells them exactly what they're for, what they can do, and what they cannot do. We have to follow the bylaws. The new advisory committees. These are examples of the old committees that we have suggested to be consolidated. But you have any point a time to do make inputs here. If you think they're still very important, we might listen. We might not. I'm only 1 of 9. The Grassroots Adults Committee, we consider consolidating that into a solid committee. Currently, the majority of USATT activities are already directed towards adults, and we didn't see any need or suggested to continue with Grassroots Adults Committee. Training Center Ad Hoc Committee for Chula Vista. Currently, USATT do not have any training centers, and when we do, it will be more appropriate to use a task force to deal with that in accordance with the opinions of the task force. Disabled Committee. All the disabled will be integrated into all committees as Paralympic athletes will be integrated into USATT's main structure. You might not know that the old structure called IPTTC is now integrated into ITTF, and they call now para-athletes. So now you're going to see that USATT will have responsibility for all Paralympic athletes all the way from grassroots to national team. Women's Development Committee. That will also be integrated into other committees. We saw no need to have a separate women's committee. In other committees, we will have female representatives that defend the women's development's interests. And the Ratings Committee, that is also now staff-driven, so we see no need of having a separate Ratings Committee. And now we're going to list the old committees that will stay in a similar positions as before, according to the recommendations to the board that will make the final decision. The Clubs Committee. We propose that the club will be given political influence in the future in electing the club representative. They should have more influence on decisions, especially in high-performance planning. And we also saw that in the current high-performance plan, a lot of coaches have been consulted. High-Performance Committee. High Performance Committee will have a similar function as the old Elite Athlete Committee. A Junior Committee that will replace the Junior Grassroots Committee and now will include all junior issues if the board decides to follow this. Following other committees, Senior Committee that would replace the Grassroots Senior Committee and include all senior issues, including, for instance, the national team for seniors or veterans. Officials Committee replaces the old Rules and Officials Committee, but pretty much the same function as before. Tournament Committee that will be in charge of all sanctioning of all levels of tournaments. Editorial Board for advisory check and balance for the editor. We also have something called a National Organizational Member. That's a new concept that was not in the old bylaws. The governing bylaws for the National Organizational Member is in front of you. You can read that. But the main thing with that is a board seat is reserved. And as you can see, we already have that. David Del Vecchio is our current National Organizational Director. And the organization that I qualify for that category is the National Collegiate Table Tennis Association, or NCTTA.